All right, Unit 5 is kind of a fun unit, or at least for a lot of students, they're interested in it because you watch Criminal Minds on Netflix or some other TV show similar. And so it's a little bit of applied psychology. And so it's a short unit, but we're doing criminal profiling and just looking a little bit at how psychology is applied to catch, in this case, serial killers. So it's kind of serious, but at the same time, kind of interesting as well. All right, so first off, you've got a notes sheet that looks like this. It's actually 2 pages. It looks a little more intimidating than it really is. But remember, you can use the Cami extension through Chromebook and then use a text box to edit it. You can use Doc Hub, and that'll work as well. Or you can just print this out and take notes on it and then upload it to Google Classroom. All right, so we're going to do the first part of the unit here, and just kind of first off define criminal profiling. So it's constructing a psychological, behavioral, and demographic profile of the type of person most likely to have committed a crime. Remember, demographics just means like your age, your sex, race, things like that. But the key part here for us is that psychological and behavioral profile, using psychology in a situation to say, when we look at this crime scene, what does it tell us? And what does it tell us about the person who did it? So therefore, we can capture them. That's the idea behind it. The first documented case of criminal profiling actually happened in New York City in the 1950s. There was a guy that was called the Mad Bomber, and the Mad Bomber, and he had planted 33 bombs, had 22 exploded, and 15 people were injured. And there's some headlines from it. The police hunted for the Mad Bomber in New York. And so he would tape these bombs under seats in theaters. That's generally how he did this. And so this was really scaring people in the 50s. That led to a psychiatrist, James Brussel, he was practicing psychiatrist at the time, and he's following the news, and he ends up going to the police, and he gives them a profile of who they should be looking for based on some of the details that had been in the newspaper. And so he said a couple things about this. He said that the guy he'd be a white male, that he'll be between in his 40s to 50s in terms of his age, and he probably lives with his aunt or sister. Now, honestly, the police really thought the guy was kind of crazy. Like, what? What are you talking about? But he had some reasons for thinking that. And he also said that the guy probably hates his father and yet loves his mother. So there's like this aspect of it. And that he also told the police that when they finally find the guy, he'll be wearing a double-breasted suit when he's apprehended. So he'll be dressed very nicely. And so this is the first profile. And again, the police at first thought like, what? And then they started actually looking for the guy based on some of the background the psychiatrist James Brussel gave them, and it led to an apprehension. And this was actually who the guy was. This was Jordan Metesky. He was the Mad Bomber. He lived with his two sisters. Okay, so that's pretty crazy. He did hate his father. Loved his mother. He was in his early 50s. The psychiatrist figured that because he was using bombing, that it was most likely that he was maybe from Eastern Europe. Matter of fact, so there's some other things that he used. And when he was arrested, he actually went back to his bedroom and got dressed and came back out and wore a double-breasted suit. So you can see him wearing the suit right there. So this led to people in the police department being like, well, this is maybe something we need more of. We need this profiling thing. If this guy could nail this so closely, and that began criminal profiling. The father of criminal profiling was a guy by the name of John Douglas that you see here. John Douglas wrote a book called Mindhunter that's on Netflix, and it's based on the book that he had, and so they have a series based on it. So really recommend that. And then also there's another series that's on Hulu called Serial Killer Devil Unchained, and he is a consultant on that, and made sure that it was realistic. And so John Douglas ends up being the father profiling. Who was he? Well, he was an FBI in the FBI for 25 years in the investigative support unit. So he's an FBI agent. He ended up developing profiling techniques kind of based on what was learned in the Mad Bomber situation, that now is taught at the FBI's behavioral science unit. So if you ever watch Criminal Minds, that's the behavioral science unit, the BSU. So kind of cool stuff. And he consulted on several major serial killer cases. In the case of the Atlanta child murderers, the Green River Killer, and the Unabomber. So there's some of the really major ones you see up at the top, the Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, all these people, all these women that he murdered. And then Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. Wayne Williams killed 28 children, teens, and adults in Atlanta. And so he actually ended up profiling, and he helped lead to the capture of these people. So this begins profiling with the FBI. All right, great. That's the first part of the lesson, and there's a little short quiz for you.